Serving Tampa Bay since 1954, the Heritage Station. WTMP, Egypt Lake, Tampa, Clearwater, 97.5 in Pinellas.
Welcome, everyone. Porch Talk Radio, we are live, and we have been left unsupervised again. Mr. Eddie has escaped. He has flown the coop. He is somewhere loose in Florida.
Well, we know where he's loose at.
It's some type of event situation, but he left it with our trusty, faithful engineer guy, Mr. Tim, and myself, Gabriel Phillips, here to run and make this thing work with lots of information today. So again, grab your Crayola, your pencil, your marker, whatever you got, pencil, just write on the wall, whatever you got to do. Tim?
Because we're gonna follow up the conversation we had a couple weeks ago. We got a bunch of questions. Eddie will be back next week. He is playing hooky. The real story is today, this weekend, is the 50th high school reunion for his class in Lake Wales, Florida. All 9 people. I'm sorry. Small town joke. That's not true, by the way.
But they do have a stoplight.
But but that's where Eddie is. He's having big fun, and he did leave us unsupervised, but he'll be back next week. So we'll see what we can do to carry on, provide you some information, and try not to irritate you too much today on Porch Talk Radio.
With knowledge and information, grab your pen and paper.
That's right. We're glad you're here. We're glad to be here at WTMP Radio. This is Porch Talk Radio with the voice that you almost never hear. I'm Tim Horton, the executive producer of Porch Talk Radio all these years. Gabriel Phillips, you know, he's here. So that's exactly right.
Just in case you're wondering.
In case you're wondering. As live as we can drag ourselves in here on
possibly
Saturday afternoon. All right. So we had a couple weeks ago a fill-in show because Gabriel and I have a spectrum of experience in the healthcare, Medicare space. We decided that we would do a show about insurance, about Medicare, about healthcare, because that is varying degrees of expertise in our career history.
Excuse me, sir. You've got licenses in 37 states.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
that's pretty expert enough.
Too many people think I know what I'm doing. That's not a good thing. Turn me loose. But but we did go through, and so we had a bunch of common questions about Medicare. You said this, you said that, and they emailed their questions to Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com. So,
and we also, Mr. Fernando, we appreciate you guys. Your response is overwhelming. He was able to actually add some people to talk with. If you've moved in the area, Tim's going to cover that.
Yeah.
But we just appreciate you guys fully embracing just knowledge and information, and as we give you avenues to get some information to help yourself.
Yeah, and so one of the most common questions, I saw Gabriel and I talked about them, but one of the most common questions that was in Gabriel's email box is, how much do you guys get paid for doing this? So we'll start with that one, because up front, the answer is zero. Gabriel and I are experienced in this industry, but we don't get paid, and I'll better define that, but we don't get paid by any decision you make one way or the other, including not making a decision at all.
Especially that one.
Medicare programs are, shall we say, paying experts like Gabriel, like me, like Fernando, like other people.
And again, back to the expert term that we're throwing around here, Tim is licensed in 37 states, not just with an insurance license, but actually Medicare certifiable in those particular states.
Yeah, I'm certifiable.
And then we have Fernando, who's got 30 years in the same Medicare industry,
right.
As well as myself. I've got 30 years with the health, medical, dental, vision type stuff. So again, experts, we got a little bit on this.
So the point that I made that probably maybe wasn't as clear as it could have been when we did the show a couple weeks ago was that any 800 number you call, and let's just call it, Alphabet Health Insurance, but all the major brands that you know, Medicare, Humana, Cigna, Aetna, Devoted, Simply, they're all running ads, all of them. They have staff answering 1-800 phone calls for their brand flavor of Medicare. And they pay those people, but they don't pay them a commission the way you think somebody working at a used car lot is paid a commission. The problem, or the point I was trying to make is if you call brand X and ask them about a Medicare program, their folks on the phone are licensed and certified to be an expert in brand X flavor of Medicare only. Whereas I, in a window of time, was a broker and could compare, my personal home zip code here in Tampa. I have, when I get to Medicare age, if I was 65 today, I would have 9 different carriers with multiple choices of Medicare plans with each carrier to pick from. If I'm only talking to brand X, their reps can only talk about brand X. So what you want to talk to is, the term is an independent life insurance agent. You see that advertised all the time, right? So you want to talk to somebody who's a Medicare broker, like Fernando, our buddy who was here, so they can look at all the options that are available in your county, in your zip code, and pick the one that is best for you, as opposed to, the one that they have for sale. I only have Fords because I work at Ford. Is not a great place and a great way to buy a minivan if you'd rather have a Honda, so to speak.
So you're saying one size does not fit all because this Medicare tag and name is with it doesn't mean that it's going to be for everybody that same product, like you just said with a Ford. And Fords we're not dogging Fords, folks. We're just saying I've had a few, and Chevys and all the brands, but understanding that it's finding the one that works with the doctors and the medicines you're taking, the networks you're needing. That's what Tim is talking about, and that's what Fernando specializes, finding that for the people.
Right. And so then the next most common question was, well, wait, Gabriel, Tim said Medicare is not free. I have Medicare, and I don't pay anything. Okay, so let's talk about the politics of the word F-R-E-E. You paid for Medicare from your payroll deductions, 10 years, 40 quarters, get technical, we'll skip that, but you paid for Medicare from those taxes that came out of your payroll paycheck every 2 weeks, all those years. So it isn't free, you paid for it. Now, the fact that they use the terms zero deductible or no out of pocket makes you think it sounds like it's free, but it was never free, and that's just Part A. If you don't know the difference between Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D, you can go back on PorchTalkRadio.com, click the button that says See Past Shows, and re-watch the show that Gabriel and I did about Medicare. They'll explain that. But there is a difference, and there are premiums, and there are costs buried in there that you fully will need to be aware of.
So, folks, we're not trying to complicate anything because by itself, yes, it is.
It's complicated enough.
But what we're trying to do is give you a lifeline to be able to reach out to someone here locally, because I know a majority of you don't mind talking to a human being and seeing that human being sit across from the table from you, whatever, that can go through and let's see where you are with your doctors, your medicines, and actually customize something for you. As Tim has said, it is not free. Nothing is free. You have paid for some of this in the past. If you have your Part B, you're paying what, Tim? $135, $150?
$144 this year, $148 next year.
That is per month. You are paying that. So nothing is free here, folks. But these Medicare Advantage plans that Fernando does work in, as well as regular supplements, those are things that can take that portion you've already paid, the government is going to be paying, will take care of that and fund that product for you. So it's like the government's going to pay for that for you, and if you get the buyback program, which doesn't always work, depends on what area you're in, then you actually get some of that back as a credit on your bill. I'm not sure how that works.
Right, and that's where some of the confusion comes from. So let me try and redefine that. If Medicare Part A, quickly. Medicare Part A is the hospital stuff. Part B is the doctor's stuff. Part D is the drug stuff. Okay, we'll skip Medicare for a minute. There's a premium there. If you sign up for a Medicare Advantage program, it's badly similar to a free coupon at McDonald's. If you get a coupon from McDonald's, buy one Big Mac and get a second one free, was the Big Mac free? No. You had to buy the Big Mac to get the free one. You can't show up at McDonald's and say, I have a coupon, I only want one, give me the free one. No, that's not how it works. So Medicare Advantage, and all the carriers do this, which is why we don't throw any names around, because we're not trying to throw anybody on the bus. But all the Medicare carriers use marketing tools, let's call them coupons, to get you to pick me, right? So when you see the TV commercials that say anything about the Give Back program, putting money back in your Social Security check, any varying way that they describe that, what that is the Medicare program has an ability, if you enroll with them, to get the cost of that Part B premium added back into your Social Security check. It's a marketing deal between the Medicare provider company you'll sign up with, and they all do this, by the way, and Medicare. That's how that works. So it isn't free money. They don't send you a check. It's not that. It's covering the cost of the premium. Now let's talk about now, I was going to go off on a tangent, but let's...
Be careful, because, folks, the simplest thing to do is to contact us here. Drop us an email, Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com. Drop us an email and let us know, hey, I had a question about such and such. We have to be able to find out what your questions are, and then we can route them over to Mr. Fernando, Cespedes, who is the expert on this stuff right now, and is actively contracted with many companies to take care of you. If you've just moved in the area, I think Tim touched on it a little bit, if you just moved into the Tampa Bay area, you can hear our voice, Pinellas down there, then you've got 60 days or is it 90 days to be able to make a change?
Well, again, complicated. They've changed that this year, too.
Oh, what is it?
They've extended the usual window of time is the middle of your open enrollment for Medicare is the middle of early October to the middle of December. But they have extended that into January. Then there are gotcha loopholes. So if you move and change your resident zip code, you move across counties is the best example. You've moved away from your current doctors and Medicare medical providers. So you need new doctors and medical providers in your new location. So that allows you to, at any time through the year, sign up for a new or change your Medicare program.
So folks, again, it's not complicated, but it kind of is. So probably the easiest thing for you to do, drop us an email over at Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com, and just we'll get the information to you so you can make the right decision. Keep your medications going, of course, and keep the right doctors taking care of you, because that really is important, because a lot of you have worked the majority of your lives, and now you're supposed to be able to kick back a little bit and not have to worry about all this baloney. So the main idea is to have someone in your corner that knows it, that is fully versed, licensed, certified by Medicare programs, to make sure they can give you the truth to your front door.
And by the way, I did get an email. I made the joke that it's Eddie at PorchTalkRadio.com. It's Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com.
It's spelled similar.
Gee, I wonder what Executive Producer Tim's email address would be. So I got an email, just to mention this, from somebody who sent you an email.
Oh.
And they said...
That's like a chain link email, like the prince from Africa?
No, they said it bounced back. How do you spell Gabriel?
Oh,
so
well...
I wanted to at least mention that once.
There we go. So Gabriel is going to be Gabriel.
Just like the angel.
Some days. At PorchTalkRadio.com. That's all put together there. So again, we're trying to get information to you folks. The whole idea is the more you hear it, you're going to respond, and you're going to help yourself out if you've got a small business. Well, let me check with Tim. Tim, did you cover what you're going to cover in your Medicare hour? Or you still got a few more to go?
No, that sort of covers it. We need to jump to some of the conversation and revisit some things we talked about. Small employers.
Ah.
I had an email because I do venture capital and startup, and a lot of folks in Tampa, that's how they really know me, from the Tampa Bay Wave stuff and Embark and the startup community in Tampa. I had somebody who randomly accidentally heard this show and went, wow, I know that guy, and sent me an email about the small employer NSCA program. They went, wow, we could use something like that because we have 6 employees, and all of our people get dumped onto Obamacare with that, which has huge deductibles.
Yeah, and a lot of out-expense costs.
And a lot of out-of-pocket expense. So let's go back and talk about NSCA again. What does that stand for, and what was that? Let's do that again.
All right, just a quick revisit on the National Savings Care program of America, basically. What it's involved, folks, is a lot of people understand that all insurances have networks, and the networks are going to give you the upfront discounts. But you've got to pay that insurance company a monthly premium to get access to that network, and that can run in from $300 to $2,000 per month.
And the example I use is a little unfair, but it came to me this past week. When you go to Sam's Club or Costco, you have a membership fee, and for your membership fee, you can get inside the door and buy all the stuff and allegedly have a discount. We're not in the business of selling Costco memberships, but that's how that works. So your insurance is a fee to get in the room, and once you're in the room, the medical provider has an association of doctors and service providers that they pick to sell inside their club.
So basically, with the National Savings Care Program of America, what they have done through that program is you can now go directly to the network, bypass the insurance company, go straight to that network, and it depends on what you want. If you just want dental, vision, medical, like most families, then the family is $29 and change. If you want to include the pet, prepaid legal, roadside service, then you're going to look closer to $59 per month for the entire household. So again, you are now bypassing the insurance carriers, because insurance carriers, we understand every year when they renew their policies, your rate is going to go up, your deductible is going to go up, and you're going to be out more money for the same or less service.
And you blew by it really quickly. The fastest growing health care program is pet insurance.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, for all those just tuning in, whether it's on Facebook or just finding our station, we're at Porch Talk Radio. That's what you're listening to. And you've got Tim, our engineer guy, sitting in today, as well as myself, Gabriel Phillips, hosting the Porch Talk Radio. We've got our website, PorchTalkRadio.com. In fact, you can go to the website, PorchTalkRadio.com. And don't forget us on Facebook, live. Like and share, please. Like and share. But if you go to PorchTalkRadio.com, the website, scroll to the bottom, and you will see National Savings Club, National Savings Care Program of America, down at the bottom on the right corner. Click that, and it'll take you over to the website, and you can actually begin to look through the plans themselves right there. Again, this is if you have Medicare. I'm changing gears. If you have Medicare, the usual thing is dental and vision, you're on your own. Right. Dental and vision, Medicare does not cover that.
And we talked about that in the prior show, that if you go to Porch Talk, you can see the show 2 weeks ago where we talked about this. But OG, right, original Medicare, OG Medicare, never did, and there are some superficial discussions, but they're never going to do it, never included dental, vision, all the benefits that the Medicare Advantage programs advertise, the transportation and the give back. None of that is included in original Medicare. So if you have original Medicare and you have a lot of dental issues or you need glasses, none of those things, there are exceptions, but none of those things are covered. If you get in a car wreck and you have a massive facial impact, and you have, serious surgery problems, rebuilding your face because of a car wreck, there's some dental that is included in that.
Yes.
But I have a feeling, I need a root canal at 66. I finally have a wisdom tooth that's popped up. I heard that story 2 weeks ago, by the way. That dental is not covered.
So through the National Savings Care Club Program of America, you can actually get the dental division, and it is using the Aetna network on the dental. Now, I said Aetna, but I didn't say we have the insurance. I said we have their network.
Right.
And again, that's why you're saving so much with the cost I'm telling you right now, is you're just bypassing that. You're paying a cash price whenever you go get the service done, and you're done. Because it is through the National Savings Care Club Program of America, you can actually not deal with any what they call balance billing, meaning that when you go, you're an in-network doctor or telemedicine or something like that, whatever the cost is at that point, you're done. They're not going to send you a bill later. That's not going to happen. You're in the network, you're fine, but you will not get a yearly rate increase like you do with regular health insurance. So again, please understand, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you are 21 or if you are 71, the program, the National Savings Care Program of America, again, you can go to PorchTalkRadio.com, scroll to the bottom of the website, you can click it there. They got videos on all the separate coverages inside the program. It's a great deal, but the bottom line for you is you save money. Doesn't matter how many times you use it. You can use it every week if you want to. Chiropractic, acupuncture, all these things that we end up having to deal with in life, dental, vision, medical, middle of the night, you want to talk to a doctor, you can go to telemedicine. It's included in the program. From your smartphone, you call them, you set it up right there, and within minutes, you are talking to a doctor. And they can tell them what your problem is. They can either diagnose it right there. Majority of the time, they will. They'll prescribe something right there. You can go down to the local pharmacy and pick it up with the discount, again, from the National Savings Club for that prescription. That's awesome, folks. For $29 or $59, you pick.
Because the pharmacies are in those networks too. Yeah, it
Absolutely.
can be really tricky and amazing. And that's one of the conversations I've had recently. Not going to call any names, but the guy's got a small business, 8 employees, and his key sales person, happens to be a woman, but his key salesperson that the entire business depends on, her generating the sales that creates the revenue, has medical issues. We're not going to talk about it, but she has medical issues. She has Obamacare, open marketplace coverage, and the deductible is $5,000. She doesn't have $5,000. She's single. She has 2 kids at home. Oof. She's working a job. She gets paid really well, by the way, at this job, but she doesn't have $5,000 in a pocket to write a deductible for Obamacare insurance.
Plus the monthly premium.
And I told her about the NSCA program, and she says, well, that can't be right. That's just too good. Well,
and again, folks, Tim just hit on the high deductible, $5,000 deductible. Most people don't have that sitting around to go throw down. Through the National Savings Club of America, you will find yourself with anywhere from 50 to 75% reduction out-of-pocket expense. That's your money. We're talking about your money right now. So once you pay your $29 or $59, whatever you decide, and then you've got to go to the doctor for whatever. If it's telemedicine, you're out nothing to go see that doctor right there. He'll prescribe whatever needs to be prescribed, probably right there on the phone with you, and then you go pick it up. I know I've helped my mother-in-law with some of these little programs, and she's gotten 50% discount on some of her medications right off the bat because of the program after she used telemedicine. So she was in her bed laid up with, I'm not sure, something was bugging her, and she talked to the doctor right there. He said, oh, that's such and such, and I went and picked it up for her. She got a discount. She was a happy camper. Within about an hour and a half time, she was good to go. Never left the house.
Well, and as much as you stress over health care, your employer stresses over it too. Now, if you work for a large major corporation that has group medical, it's expensive for the employer, but that's built into their cost. And quite frankly, the amount of money you make is adjusted to cover the cost for we include the benefit of health care. They don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is.
There you go.
Take it from a guy who's run stuff. Okay. But when you get to these small employers, per this conversation the other day, he didn't call me to ask me, hey, do you know how I can get my chief salesperson Medicare or medical coverage? What he called me to ask me was, how in the world can I find health insurance for my employees? I only have 8 plus myself, because I can't have this happening again. He's going to help her, he doesn't have to, but he's going to help her with the deductible, is his mental plan at the moment, but he doesn't want to deal with this again. And he's got 7 other employees that are going to break an ankle or trip on a thing or get whatever, stuff happens, right? And so his phone call to me was, hey Tim, small business advisor, what do I do? How do I fix this problem? How do I get company provided insurance? That's too expensive, I can't afford it. This is that middle patch solution to the problem.
And understanding with medical insurance, there's different laws that apply for the employers usually. If you've got X amount of employees, if you provide one employee some medical insurance, you're going to have to provide for all of your employees full time.
Which is why I quickly told him, whoa, Trigger. Whatever you do, do not write her a $5,000 bonus check to pay that deductible, because legally you now are...
You're going to be owned by the government, literally.
In a bad place.
Yeah, so it's an understanding that the employers have to provide 50% of the cost of regular medical insurance per employee that is full-time in the organization. So if he's got 5 or if he's got 25, and like Tim says, nothing's free. Somewhere it all works out to where something is charged a little bit more to make it all happen. But for an employer to have anywhere from $250,000 in medical cost to help the employees and up, that's quite normal. So if you're going, I'm not even close to that, okay, then having this particular program, the National Savings Care Program of America, is actually what they call a voluntary program. So the employer is not obligated to fund it at all. If the employer decides, you know what, I want to give $5 per employee or $10 per employee, that's your call. Your big deal is you want to be able to retain those employees and reward them in the big picture. And of course recruit. And if you got nothing to offer them, why are they going to stay with you?
Exactly. So that's the thing with small business. So that came up, and I wanted to retouch on that. Before we move on to other
we got more stuff,
fun and games about insurance, let's do on this day in history.
Oh my goodness! Come on, Tim.
Because it's a tradition.
Are we halfway through the show already?
We are.
Oh my goodness!
So there is a bunch of fun stuff on this day in history.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, when Eddie and I work these up, he makes the final selection of choices of things he tells you. Gabriel doesn't see it, so he's surprised. I've made a list of stuff, as I usually do with Eddie. I've chosen stuff, but Gabriel hasn't seen it. So we get his reaction because it's always fun.
So I'm not necessarily a mushroom being kept in the dark, fed BS, but close.
But it's always fun, your reaction.
Okay.
So there's a good one today I want to start with.
Let's go.
The first televised U.S. presidential debate in 1960.
Oh.
And you know why you said Nixon? It was Nixon Kennedy.
Oh my goodness!
But do you know why your first thought was Nixon? Because he was awful.
He didn't do well.
People don't remember the context of history, and we make fun of the TV networks now spinning the news, but this was the first example of the TV news messing with the voters' perspective. They had done a couple of radio debates, Nixon Kennedy. And everybody, in quotes, everybody agreed Nixon wiped the floor with Kennedy in the radio debate. They pop up on TV the first ever time there's a presidential debate. Everybody tuned in like it was a Super Bowl because, ooh, this will be cool. Let's watch this.
It was the Super Bowl.
And they saw Richard Nixon. And we all know what Nixon looked like. And then they saw a pretty young, vibrant John Kennedy and went, oh, I'm voting for that guy.
Well, he was a handsome fella.
He was. And Nixon looked awful. And he was sweating. This was before the days of everybody having, TV makeup and stuff. So Nixon standing there under the hot TV lights, part of my career was doing that, by the way. Trust me, those lights are hot. And he was sweating like a pig, and he looked awful, and he looked like he was, it was just.
It was a done deal.
It was a done deal, and Nixon was done. To his credit, he came back later, and we all know he got elected in that story. But he lost out big time to Kennedy. This day in history, 1954, is the famous Little Rock Nine. That was the first day of school in Little Rock, Arkansas, where President Dwight Eisenhower told Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus,
like an Archie name.
You're going to let the kids, the young black girls, the girls are in the picture. There were actually some boys. The famous picture has the little girls. You're going to let them in, and Governor Faubus said, no, it's my state. We're going to do what I want here. And so President Eisenhower said, pound that, and subscripted the Arkansas National Guard and sent 1,000 Army paratroopers down to Little Rock to escort the girls to class.
Wow, talk about being special.
This day in history, 1954. In 1789, this one's fun, the Bill of Rights was passed in Congress.
The Bill of Rights.
The first 12 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, the ones about guaranteeing freedom of speech and press and assembly and guns and religion.
Unless we have COVID.
And fair legal procedure and all that, like trivial stuff. Yeah, those amendments. And so they were written for the first time, 1789, and now today everybody on Facebook is a constitutional lawyer. So there you go.
Well, of course, because they say so. And again, if it's about people's health, since people are just way too stupid to take care of themselves, the government must do it for them.
Right. So a couple fun ones. This day in history, 1970, the new TV season rolled out. And the new hot, cool show was the Partridge.
Oh, my God.
Because 2 years before, the Monkees was the new hot show. And by the way, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, this day in history, the Monkees TV show was on that day in history.
Oh,
so today it's the Partridge Family.
Yes, loved it.
And the Monkees was based on a ripoff of the Beatles. Most people don't know this. If you remember the Partridge Family TV show, it was a ripoff of a family singing pop group called the Cowsills that very few people remember. But if you YouTube the Cowsills, you can see the original. This day in history, while we're doing TV, this day in history, 1962, Jed Clampett.
Oh my goodness.
Packed up the family in that truck and moved to the Beverly Hills.
That was a show, and it ended in such tragedy, and it was just depressing. I think the last final show of that just ended so depressing, and it was just, you're like, oh my God, how could you have done this to these people?
Well, and there's a backstory to that. If you remember Green Acres, Petticoat Junction,
of course,
all those country bumpkin shows were popular, and Hollywood decided that they're not going to do that anymore. That we have to get, modern, cool, groovy, and country bumpkin shows are not. They were all highly rated. They just killed them off. They killed them off at the end of one season, and so they had to quickly wrap them all up to give them an end of the series.
Yeah.
And so they didn't wrap them all up nicely.
No, that was so bad. That was so bad. But Daisy Duke, although if you saw her today, you would not want to see that girl in shorts. Oof, my goodness.
And then this day in history, 1969, the Beatles released Abbey Road. That was their last album, if you're not a big Beatles fan.
No, her name wasn't Daisy. What am I thinking? What was it?
Ellie Mae.
Ellie Mae! She looks worse.
Yep. Max Baer is still alive, the only one that's still alive.
Oh, my goodness.
Jethro Bodine. This day in history, 1775, a guy named Ethan Allen. No, not the dude with the furniture store. The
shoes.
The American Revolutionary War general, Ethan Allen. messed up. He had a poorly planned scheme to attack a fort at Montreal, Canada. Well, it's Canada now.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost, got captured, and that didn't end well. Back to Eisenhower. 1959, President Eisenhower had another fiasco on this day in history. This day is the day that Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev came to D.C. for them to have conversations about, putting a little heat under the Cold War.
Ah, yes.
And it followed a week of him being in L.A., where he was insulted by a bunch of Hollywood studio people when he asked them, how come bad Soviet, bad accent. How come always the Soviets are the bad guys in American movies? And they told him, and he didn't like the answer. and then he tried to go to Disneyland, not Disney World, Florida, Disneyland, L.A., in again, 1959. And they wouldn't let him in because they were worried about security issues. So he didn't get to go to Disneyland, and he didn't convince Hollywood that the Soviets were the good guys in the Bond movies, and so that was the end of that.
So he left angry and bitter.
He was angry and bitter, and then he got worse. Must have been May of '60 when he was back. That was the whole Gary Powers YouTube plane thing. That didn't work well. And then a funny one I think is funny is on this day in history in 1513, Spanish conquistador Vasco Nuez de Balboa. You remember Vasco, right?
Oh, yeah, I was there.
Yeah, you were there. He was standing on a mountain peak in Darien, Panama, and he is credited as being the first European to ever lay eyes on the Pacific Ocean.
Oh.
Because like all the explorers, they were finding North America, and he accidentally bumped into Panama, where the walk to the other side wasn't quite as long as hitting Florida. And so he was the first guy to see the Pacific Ocean. Birthdays today, real quick. 1897, William Faulkner. 1903, Olive Ann Beach, who is not anybody you're going to know unless you're a nut. But she built Beechcraft, the aircraft company that still exists in some version today. And then today is the birthday for Baba Wawa.
She's still alive?
Yes, she still is.
Oh,
she's
in
seclusion. She has a lot of health issues, apparently. But, Barbara Wawa was 60 Minutes and was doing the network news, and it's her fault that we have that insidiously awful TV show today called The View. That's Barbara Wawa.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's any value in that one whatsoever. Isn't it time for talk about life insurance? Something exciting?
Lots of people. Well, you've got a list of stuff that made you crazy this week, right?
As we kind of go through it, folks, and we're just going to hit some high points because that's what we do around here, because we know that everybody is not always listening to these news, and really, I don't blame you. Let's go ahead. Let me just jump in somewhere here. Well, the Australians don't need guns. Funny cartoon I saw. And this person responded back, and they've had 6 lockdowns. And Australia, of course, is having lots of surges. And Australia has become, what's that little island that's out in California, out of L.A., that's that little Alcatraz. It's become its own Alcatraz. Now, folks, as you kind of go through this COVID situation, understanding that if I'm not using my umbrella for you to yell out, hey, stupid, if you don't use your umbrella, mine won't work, that just doesn't make much sense. Well, what if we said, hey, are you taking your vitamins because my vitamins don't work if you don't take yours? That's awfully stupid. But here we are with COVID, because if we think about it, after it's all said and done, why is it? So the vaccine doesn't stop the spreading of the virus, but the vaccine passport does? How does that work? Folks, as we kind of jump around here for the first time ever, a medicine's ineffectiveness is being blamed on those who haven't taken it. Isn't that just absolutely stupid? Of course, the COVID injections are the only product in the world whose failures are blamed on those who haven't taken the product. Yeah, we're pretty smart, aren't we? Now, meanwhile, the Emmys happened in the last week or so, a couple of weeks back, I guess. The Emmys hosting, they did it in a tent so they could claim they were outdoors. And if you notice, none of the celebrities had masks on. Only the servants or the peasants. were supposed to wear the mask because COVID knows if you're a celebrity, it can't touch you. Kind of like when you're in a restaurant and you're sitting down, COVID doesn't know to look down, so you can sit there without a mask.
I put this on Facebook. I got an add-on to that one.
Is there? Come on.
They don't want a wall in Texas because that's not fair.
Uh-huh.
But they had a wall at the Emmys, so the regular people couldn't get in. They had security fencing up. You know, they can have a wall in LA, but we can't have a wall in
Again, folks, we've never claimed to be the sharpest tool in the shed. Meanwhile, exemptions from Biden's vaccine mandates. Who's going to be exempt from it? Well, Congress, of course. The legislative branch, congressional staff, their families. The judicial branch, the White House staff, CDC employees, FDA employees, United States postal workers, and the Pfizer employees and the Moderna employees. That's how much they trust what they're doing. That's how much they trust that it's okay for you to take the experimental drug, just not them. Of course, Al Sharpton has just recently put out a statement that this is by Al Sharpton, we're being stabbed in the back by Joe Biden. BLM leadership says forget the racist vaccine. BLM Matters leadership recently says the vaccine mandates are racist, promises uprising against the ID system. So it seems that the Democrats are being bitten back by their own houseboys that are supposed to be putting the black people in line to get their shots. Right now across America, 20% of the black population has the vaccine. 80% of them saying, hell no. Just the way it is, folks. Meanwhile, it says that we are Democrats, we believe in science, except the chromosome thing with the transgender. We don't believe in that one. Let's see here. Keep on moving. The debt ceiling that the politicians want to rise. They want to raise the debt ceiling. So think of this scenario with the debt ceiling for America. The debt ceiling is like when the septic tank backs up in your house, you are up to your eyeballs in crap, and you decide to raise the roof instead of fixing the pump. That's what your politicians are doing in Washington right now.
I like that one a bunch. In fact,
You know-
I'm going to steal that and use that. I'm a macroecon guy, and the federal debt is one of my ongoing rants. I tell people all the time, we don't have a debt problem. We have a bunch of folks in D.C. spending other people money problem. We wouldn't have a debt problem if they would quit wasting money on stupid. But yeah, I like the septic tank backing up. So let's raise the ceiling. That's good. I'm going to use that.
So a quick scenario: in the past 30 days, the Biden administration mistakenly handed over Kabul, armed the Taliban, lost 13 U.S. soldiers, accidentally killed kids in an airstrike. Oops. Wasted millions on a pretend rally in D.C. You heard about that. That was so stupid. And didn't notice these 10,000 people trekking across the southern border together in broad daylight. Now, Australia just recently had their influenza deaths. It showed as of 2017, they had 1,181 influenza deaths in Australia in 2017. For 2021, 0. It's a miracle, and the media is just not talking about it. Tim, I'm coming to a close here real quick.
But Australia's still on a serious lockdown. There is not a state in the U.S. that would not trade statistics. The governor of no state in the U.S. would not trade statistics with the entire continent of Australia in a heartbeat. They have had so few cases in Australia. They're having less cases than any state in the U.S., but their lockdown is just insane. And
So it's not working.
Army patrolling the streets, wanting to know why you're not at home. It's awful.
So remember, right here in this country, the pandemic is to force you to get the vaccine. The vaccine is to force you to get the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport is to force you into the social credit system. Check with China on that. The social credit system is to force you into obeying the government. So here we go. The government has basically said this to everybody. We tried scaring you, then we tried bribing you, then we guilted you, then we shamed you, then we blamed you. Now we're going to fire you because We care about you. Woo, my goodness, Tim.
And you skipped over AOC at the Met.
Oh, please share that.
We all saw, here's one, Gabriel and I were talking about this before the show. Everybody saw AOC with her, tax the rich dress, and that was cute.
She is one of the rich.
You can agree or not. This is, where I'm going to go is not political.
But.
So she's in a world of hurt. There are rules if you are a congressional candidate or a congressperson. Remember, I coordinated Eddie Adams' campaign when he ran for Congress, so I know these rules. Spent a lot of time in D.C. in the day. So AOC's in a world of hurt. She has two choices. She got a free $30,000 ticket to the party and went and wore the dress. That's illegal because the gift limit is $100. Or she says, well, they didn't give it to me for free, I paid for it. Okay, how'd you pay for it? You can't use congressional office budget, campaign money, all these campaign fund raising tools. You can't use those funds to do this either. That's a crime as well. So she got two picks that neither of which are a good pick.
So tax the rich.
And so the investigation just literally started this week, and then we'll see what happens, and I'll follow up. We'll make sure you hear about it. But she's in a world of hurt.
She's a great representative for taxing the rich, and she does $174,000 is her pay. She is in an exclusive apartment complex there in Washington, D.C. that does not allow the peasants, the commoners in. And she has a special parking place for her new customized Tesla that she ordered when she's not being driven around in large SUVs that guzzle gas, or she's on private charter planes, and she is the Democrats' spokesperson for taxing the rich.
Gotta love that.
Can't make it up, folks. Tim, where are we?
Okay, so I guess back to the world of fun and games of insurance.
My goodness, folks, life insurance is one thing that we all know is needed one way or the other. It doesn't matter what you've acquired in your life's time. Whenever you go, there's not going to be a U-Haul there at the funeral service.
Wait, you mean I can't take it with me?
Well, you can try, but if that's the case, it would probably burn.
I
So
think
understanding...
the Egyptians did that, right? They built those pyramids and...
Yeah, and how did that work out?
And put all the cool stuff with the kids.
Yeah, and the organs and the separate
tomb.
vases. Yeah, they're still dead.
And
so
then Indiana Jones came along and stole it from them later.
because of Indiana Jones, that's right. So, folks, when it comes to life insurance, please, again, let's go to the, drop me an email on that if you have any question on it. It does not matter your age. It does not matter your health. It is available for all one way or the other, and that's Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com. If you would have questions about life insurance, whether you're a younger person and you've got debt and you've got mortgages and family, or you are, quote, well-seasoned in life and have moved along and just need the final expenses taken care of, Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com is probably going to be your best source, because you can obviously listen to the TV and end up with a bunch of crap, pay for it, and then when it's needed, it's not there.
Well, and it's not a one size. The thing about insurance is it's not a one size fits all, right? So if you are, just to pick a story, if you're 35 and you have, a new baby, that new family depends on both his and her income. Mm-hmm. And what I tell folks is, and I did some of this, I worked, on a factory floor doing benefits, not a commission sales job, worked on a factory floor helping folks decide about benefits. And I was quite frankly appalled how few people had any life insurance. And so I would say to the worker, male and or female, if you died on the way home tonight, what does your spouse do? There are two kids at home in high school, you got a house payment, a car payment, or whatever. Their life is impacted. Now, in fairness, your wife, and I'm talking to a guy, your wife is a school teacher, or your wife works at a whatever. If she passes away on the way home in traffic today, you're in a world of hurt too, because you have a mortgage and a car payment and the kids in school and the blah, blah. So how much life insurance you need is dependent upon what your bills are and how important or how valuable your paycheck is. If you can buy enough insurance to replace a paycheck for 8 or 10 years to get the surviving spouse to move along in life, that's enough. And term insurance, the ugly on this is you die, we pay. Term insurance, no investment component, no fancy jumping
no
up and
equity.
down, rules, simple term insurance is super, super cheap, especially in today's world, low interest rates and a lot of stuff that people don't care about. So, yeah, it's, and you see a lot of stuff that's advertised that's high commission for the sales rep. They got to make money to pay for all those TV commercials. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just the reality of the world.
So nothing is free. Somehow it gets taken care of. But when you talk with us locally here, some of the dollars do stay here local that might happen from any of this. But again, we're doing good, actually. So on the life insurance side, folks, it is a necessary evil. If you've got grandchildren and you need policies, you'd like to have policies on them, that's awesome. If you have, if you want to help your son and daughter that are just starting out and they don't have a pot to pee in or something like that, you want to get them some basic coverage, you can do that and actually have an insurable interest because you don't want them getting back in your house. So I'm just saying. So in the meantime, understand that depends. Tim called off term insurance, and there's several different types of insurance, and that's what you get by being able to sit down with somebody and just kind of see where you are. You can call somebody on the phone, of course, 1-800 number, blah blah blah, and if something doesn't get understood correctly and you end up with something and suddenly you kick the bucket, and it's the wrong something, it doesn't matter to you because you're gone. The family's left behind to figure it out or pass the hat. So please do yourself a favor, Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com. Drop me an email and let me know when's a good time to talk, what's a good number to call you on. I'll be glad to visit back with you guys. And also Fernando Cespedes with Medicare. If you guys should have questions on Medicare, there's actually plans available for Medicaid. An email for Mr. Medicare, basically, Mr. Fernando Cespedes is going to be FFIS.
.co.
Yeah, I
it's
think
not. His website is
website,
not .com. It's FFIS.co. And his phone number, if you got your pencil, we told you to write stuff down, is 813-356-9884. 813-356-9884.
And the whole idea, folks, is to have someone you can look at, you can talk to, tell them what you're trying to do, and their responsibility is to just try and make sure you get taken care of one way or the other, period. Because if you don't stop, take time to get this stuff figured out, when you need it the most, it's too late.
And one insurance topic that neither Gabriel or I are licensed to do, but I'll just lay this bit of knowledge on you too, is car insurance.
Oh.
In Hillsborough County, depending on who's spinning the facts and whose story you're going to swallow, think about this one. Between 18% and 30% of every car that drives through the intersection of Dale Mabry and Waters Avenue today, you pick it, Lumsden Road, something in Pinellas County, doesn't matter. 18% to 30% of every car that drives through that intersection has either A, a driver with no license, B, no car insurance at all, or C, all of the above. So when you have car insurance, first of all, you do have car insurance, right? When you have car insurance, be sure that you have an added rider for uninsured motorists, because if it's not your fault, you're still economically damaged and destroyed because the idiot who damaged and destroyed you doesn't have insurance. If you don't have uninsured motorist, which replaces the car insurance that other idiot didn't buy, right, takes care of you. But if you don't have that, it does no good to repair your car if you're laying up in the hospital, broken, dead, and dying and whatever, because that's all the insurance you bought.
Now, to clarify what Tim just said, because it is insurance, and it's not complicated, but it is, Uninsured motorist specifically is for bodily injury. If you have comp and collision, full coverage on the car, then that would physically cover the car itself.
Right.
If you have neither, hopefully you've got some gauze band-aids in the glove box.
Right, and laying up in the hospital, in serious medical condition, yeah, that's nice that the insurance company will fix my car so it's pretty again, but what about me?
Yeah, so
Make
that's
me
why.
pretty again.
So if you have health insurance at work, then fine, you just have your deductibles to deal with and co-pays, and that will help you through the process. Now, for the National Savings Care Program of America, if you have that particular plan and you've already had some accidents, you've already had some medical bills, that particular program, the National Savings Care Program of America, will actually help you reduce those bills down between 30 to 40, 50, 75%. I've actually seen some people's bills actually just written off completely by the organization when they were contacted by the National Care Program of America. So I've seen this personally happen. So folks, the National Savings Care of America program not only is going to help you with just your regular dental, vision, medical, pet coverage, motor vehicle stuff, we got prepaid legal in there, acupuncture, chiropractors. Oh my God, it has so much stuff. It covers for you. It's either $29 and change with a family, or $59 if you want to include the pooch. So again,
Gabriel, where could I find more information about this?
I'm glad you asked. Now that you say that, if you went to PorchTalkRadio.com, that's sitting on a porch, not sport, sitting on a porch.
And not the car.
That's right. So PorchTalkRadio.com, scroll to the bottom. On the right side at the bottom, you'll see National Savings Club or Care Program of America. Click that, and that'll walk you into that field, and it's got a ton of information for you to just go research on your own, read it, and then after all that, drop me an email, Gabriel at PorchTalkRadio.com, and I'll be glad to explain it to you. Otherwise, again, we're kind of a little bit old school here, because I guess we are old school.
And for Sarah, Gabriel is spelled Gabriel, just like the angel.
And some days are good. In fact, that reminds me that I'd seen an old guy the other day out in public somewhere, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at that old fart over there. And then I realized, oh, he graduated in my class. It does happen, folks. The gray hairs do sneak up on us at random, and suddenly we are that old person.
And that's where Eddie is this weekend, which is why Gabriel and I covered Porch Talk Radio today. Gabriel's in Lake Wales at his 50th.
Eddie
is at his 50th high school reunion. That's 50. We'll let you do the math. Eddie's not shy of telling people how old he is. He's 67. But it's his 50th high school anniversary, so next year we will probably have stories about
wild stories
of
the 50+ group.
Because I don't know what kind of wild stories they do in Lake Wales. I have avoided all of my high school reunions like the plague. I
have not been to one either,
and did not look back.
It's on my list.
I don't recognize the name of that town on the map.
By the time I go, I'm sure a majority will be gone.
That's my thought about high school reunions. So there you
Yeah.
go. So this is Porch Talk Radio. That guy over there is Gabriel Phillips. I'm Tim Horton. I'm the executive producer of Porch Talk Radio all these 11 years. Eddie Adams Jr. will be back next week. And if you want to rat us out and tell him the terrible time we did on the show today, it's Eddie at Porch Talk Radio.
And I'll just say that Tim wrote it, so I had to go with it.
It's trust me when I tell you, early radio, all the seasons of TV we did, and now here at WTMP, it's always my fault. I'm used to that. So
I'm glad you learned it.
We're glad you tuned in. Thanks for listening, and
God bless
as
America.
Eddie always says, same bat time, same bat station next week. We'll see you. Thanks for listening to Porch Talk Radio. We love you, Tampa Bay.
God bless.